Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Ahmadai Shakur. Another BLK man has been found hanging from a tree. Let's get into it. So 28-year-old Jared R. Jackson was reported missing on Monday, June the 29th of 2026, after leaving the Electric Forest Festival in Rothbury, Michigan. Now, searchers then found his body in a wooded area nearby on Tuesday, June 30th of 2026. Okay, and the preliminary findings from the Michigan State Police indicate that he died by, guess what? Self-deletion. Isn't that what they always say? Please pay attention. Now, following Jackson's death, his family and loved ones have actively disputed investigators' initial conclusions, on their social media platforms, basically saying that he had no history of mental illness, no mental health struggles, and they're raising questions about the days leading up to his disappearance. Now one thing that I found interesting is that he made a police report about an incident that happened with a friend. Please pay attention. Now, earlier that morning, troopers responded to Jackson's campsite after he reported an alleged criminal incident involving a friend. Now, after interviewing those involved, investigators concluded that, in fact, no criminal incident had occurred, and Jackson reportedly left the venue shortly thereafter. Authorities say that Jackson left behind his cell phone and other personal belongings. His rental vehicle was later located in the Rothbury area with his wallet and keys inside before officers discovered his body in the nearby woods. Please pay attention. And as I said, his family and friends are pushing back, saying that he absolutely didn't do this to himself. One of his cousins came out and they said that this is a cousin by the name of Jalaya. They responded saying, "My cousin didn't commit suicide. This was foul play." And, I'm really getting so sick and tired of them telling us the same old song and dance. No evidence of foul play. They did it to themselves. We all know, the people who look like me, we all know that we do not do such things. I don't think anyone does these things, not even people who don't look like us. I don't think anyone hangs themselves from a tree. I just don't think so. Specifically, not the people who look like me. Please pay attention. Now, sadly, in 2025 and 2026, there have been several instances where people who look like me have been found as strange fruit, even women. Please pay attention. 39-year-old Torrance Tory Medley was found November the 13th of 2025, near Brookfield Hills Golf Course in Brookfield, Wisconsin. Please pay attention. Demon Travian, who was 21 years old, was found hanging from a tree at Delta State's campus. This was September the 15th of 2025. February the 14th of 2026, Valentine's Day, 21-year-old Kyle Basinga, who was a Georgia State University student, was reported missing. And days later, on February the 18th, he was found hanging from a tree at Fair Oaks Park, in Marietta, Georgia. Please pay attention. Days before, it's important to note that Kyle Basinga had an altercation that was captured on video with a police officer. 16-year-old Juliana Nicita of the Republic of the Congo, who had recently moved to North Carolina, was reported missing April the 28th of 2026. Days later, on May the 8th, she was found hanging from a tree near a church. Please pay attention. Then just recently, 27-year-old Tonia Nicole Miller of Michigan was found hanging from a tree at Gwen Cherry Park in Miami. The day before Juneteenth. Please pay attention. They want us to think that this is all a thing of the past, that people are not still being found in trees as strange fruit, that these things don't continue to go on. They always label them as self-deletions, but we know better. The Klan is still alive and kicking. They still carry out these things. And how do we know this? Well, because for one, Jake Lang, when he was at the Carmelo Anthony trial down there in Texas, he said that Carmelo should have been hung from a tree outside of the courthouse. Why would he say that if that was just something of the past? Please pay attention. And let's not forget about the nefarious Day of the Rope. From the book, The Turner Diaries, a 1978 YT supremacist book, that a lot of extremists and hateful devils are into. Now, in the Turner Diaries, they talk about a group of these nationalist rebels who, in fact, overthrow the government and carry out these mass lynchings of, politicians, journalists, and people that they deem as race traitors. You see, not just the people who look like me. They get the people who they feel are complicit with us. And, this whole thing came back up during the January 6th, 2021 riots at the Capitol. Because what did you have besides a group of extremist rebels who overthrew or tried to overthrow the government, okay, caused a whole insurrection at the Capitol. And what were they talking about doing? Weren't they talking about lynching people? Okay, specifically Mike Pence, if memory serves me correct. I mean, they literally had a whole chant, okay? They were chanting, hang Mike Pence. Okay, please pay attention. Now, the book, The Turner Diaries, explicitly describes the victims hanging from lampposts, power poles, and trees with signs or play cards forced around their necks, okay, detailing their crimes against the white tea race. Okay, please pay attention. Now, the book describes what they do to the people who look like me and other minorities. You see, they're rounded up and forced into geographic enclaves where they are, attacked with chemical warfare and biological warfare and starved. Okay, please pay attention. Now, the book details a global genocide where they take out millions of non-white people, okay, through warfare, starvation, okay, and all sorts of nefariousness. They call it a mass slaughter. In the 1990s, the Day of the Rope became a well-known concept, okay, across the white tea supremacist movement. So much so that a white tea business selling white tea CDs and other artist paraphernalia named itself a Day of the Rope Productions. Okay, please pay attention. In 1994, a white tea power band called Bound for Glory, okay, they had lyrics that said, from politicians to the Pope, there'll be no more hope. There is no escaping the Day of the Rope. And by the early 2000s, the term was borrowed for a series of white tea supremacist music compilations from Eastern Europe. Okay, so it's traveled all across the globe, and they want us to think that people that look like me are not still being lynched, okay, and hung from trees by people who don't like people who look like me. They want us to think that these are all self-deletions. Absolutely not true. Okay, I don't believe a word of it. I also think that in many of these cases that the police are involved. Now, I can't prove that, but that's absolutely what I think. Okay, please pay attention. May the 31st of 2020, in Victorville, California, they found the body of 38-year-old Malcolm Harsh. Now, they said that Malcolm did this to himself as well. And here is the reason I think that the police are often involved in these lynchings. So back in 2020, I had a dream, because I have prophetic dreams and I often predict things. Anyone that follows me on YouTube can tell you that, specifically things like Trump's attempted assassinations, okay, 9/11, just different things throughout my life. But in 2020, I told my subscribers that I had a dream about a man who was darker than me with locks in his hair, who was found hanging from a tree. And that before this happened, he was walking down the street and there was a black car that pulled up to him, and the person pretended that they needed directions. They lured him over to the vehicle. When he got close enough, they pulled out a pew-pew on him, a gat, a hammer, whatever you want to call it. And then they took zip ties and tied his hands together, forced him into the car and drove down about a block or two. And there was a group of men, about 10 to 15 men. They were at a park, it seemed, and or what looked like a park. And they had a white truck, like a pickup truck. Okay. And they put him on the back of that truck, backed it up to a tree, and there they left him hanging from that tree. Now, I had this dream, and then days later, on June the 10th of 2020, they reported that they had found the body of 24-year-old Robert Fuller, okay, in Palmdale, California, right across from the city hall. And there was no cameras or anything. Nobody saw anything. And I find that all very interesting. He was found 50 miles away from where Malcolm Harsh had been found just days earlier. Okay, please pay attention. Mind you, in that dream about Robert Fuller, the person who stopped him and lured him to the vehicle for directions was a police officer. Okay, please pay attention. You know, some of the things in that book actually remind me of the things that are currently going on now with ICE, okay, and these immigrants being taken to these concentration camps that they call detention centers. Okay, please pay attention. And I definitely wouldn't be surprised if the wanton supremacists decided to go out and have a global genocide, okay, and started trying to round up people who look like me. Because, you know, this is what they've always tried to do. They've always tried to get rid of us. And if you all think that Nolan Wells, okay, if anyone thinks that Nolan Wells' friends or his so-called friends didn't have something to do, if not everything to do with his demise, you really need to think again. Okay, we are just not safe. And a lot of the good white tea people will tell you that themselves. Okay, please pay attention.